Hey everyone, I'm happy to do another Facebook Live with you and answer any questions that you have on your mind. I always enjoy doing this and hearing what's on your mind. So I just got back from a really remarkable conference. It was a gathering of chief marketing officers in Dallas. So I thought I might just start off talking a little bit about that and some of the trends that I'm seeing with big companies. Really, these were huge companies. Federal Express was there, Yahoo, Fujitsu, many big companies. And I started to pick up some themes, and one was a real intense focus on cybersecurity. And it's something that a lot of people don't really want to talk about, but everyone is really concerned. How do we protect our customers, and how do we prevent some disaster from hacking that seems inevitable? So another trend that I saw was this idea that people just kind of seem resigned, that they can't really measure their content marketing efforts, but they're still producing content, unabated. They don't seem to be dissuaded at all by the fact that they're spending a lot of money on this and can't measure it. So I'm glad to see a lot of my friends joining. And maybe people that I don't know, but I'm glad to start to know. And Eric Tung is asking, what is my new book about? Well, this is something that I'm very excited about. I've been working on it this summer. I'm about a third of the way through. And it's about how to be known in our world today. And the seed of this idea really started about 8 years ago when I left the corporate world and started my own company. And in my company, my old company, I was like a big deal. I was at the top of the organizational chart. I had won all these awards. And then overnight, when I had stopped working there and went to my own company, overnight I was like the go-to guy for nothing. Nobody cared what I had accomplished. Nobody cared where I was on an organizational chart. And I had to start over. And I had to become known. In fact, none of that stuff matters anymore. The only source of power and influence on the web today is to be known. So what I've been studying and doing a lot of research about is what is the process to be known. Can anybody be known today? And I'm interviewing a ton of interesting people from many diverse fields who literally started with nothing and today are known in a special way in their discipline. It's people from construction and fashion and art and music and finance. So I think it's going to be a really inspirational book. I think it's going to be a book that will really help a lot of people. It's not going to be foo-foo, magic dust. Believe in your passion. If you can dream it, you can be it. The world doesn't work that way, my friends. You got to have a plan. You've got to be practical. You've got to make some money. And that's what I'm all about. So that's what the book's going to be about. I'm going to set forth a framework for how to be known. And I think I think it's going to be my best book, Eric, and I'm super excited about it. So let's see here. What else is going on in people's minds? Chani is asking me, if a client cancels on you 3 times, can you assume that to be an indicator they are not interested in your service? Yes. Next question. Let's see. Eric says he's going to invoice me that $5 later. Don't know what you're talking about there, buddy. Eric's also asking, will there ever be a revival of Social Slam? Social Slam was a conference I held for 3 years. I think it was 2012, 13, and 14, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a remarkable conference because my idea was I wanted to create a conference that was accessible to everybody. I mean, today, to go to these marketing conferences, you've got to be wealthy. And I didn't like that. I think marketing conferences are becoming elitist. You know, you got to spend $500, $600, $800 on a ticket, and $1,000 on airfare in a hotel, and who can afford that? And young people can't afford that. People in transition can't afford that. Entrepreneurs can't afford that. So I created a conference where the tickets were $89. And we did very, very well. The reason that we don't have it anymore is because my core group of volunteers who really ran this thing moved away. And I haven't been able to find a way to revive it. If I started charging more, I would just be like any other conference. It has to work with volunteer leaders. And so, I get requests probably every week to revive this conference. It was a very special event. It was an event that was really run by the heart because it was all organized by volunteers. Sorry, I had that background noise there. I had an air conditioning thing on. But I don't see how I can really do it again. And Eric, in the near term, Eric, I've kind of dreamed about other formulations, but we'll see. Never say never. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Steve, my good friend Steve Farnsworth. If you don't follow Steve, you really need to. Not only is he smart, he is a delightful man. Why so much content marketing chock full of marketing crap speak? How do you help your bosses and company demand writing for human? Really two separate questions there. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but there's been a really interesting debate the last few weeks. Maybe I helped fuel it, about quantity versus quality. The fact of the matter is, the way Google has their algorithm, you can work quantity instead of quality. It's I hate to say that. I know you don't want to hear it, but there is definitely a strategy that says quantity instead of quality. Not all the time, not for everyone, not for every business. You have to think about your strategy and what you stand for. I am not going to fall into the quantity camp because that's not me. I'm not going to play those tricks. Basically, that's for SEO benefits. My view is you can trick a person into clicking a link, but you can't trick them into reading it. You can't trick them into sharing it. And that's where my power is going to come from. That's where my authority is going to come from. So I think, Steve, there are very few thought leaders, true thought leaders out there in the marketing space. And I think we kind of all know who they are. And if you're not a thought leader, then you're relegated to copying everybody else. That's okay. I'm not going to judge people for that. You got to find a way to feed your family, right? What I would do for your clients, though, is really focus on what are your goals? What do you stand for? Because what you publish is who you are. It is your brand. Everything you say and everything you don't say creates your brand today. If you publish crap, you stand for crap. If you publish legal speak, you stand for legal speak. But today, to stand out, I truly, sincerely, authentically believe that the most human companies will win. Because that's what's in our heart. We want to work with companies and people. It's been this way for hundreds and hundreds of years. We want to work with people and companies that we know, we like, and we trust. And we've been lulled into a false sense of security because we want to broadcast. We want to advertise. It works very well. But now social media is bringing us back to a day where people expect to see us. They want to know you. They don't want a logo. They don't want a jingle. They don't want PR spin. They want you. They want to know the heart of the company. They want to know the people of the company. They want to know you stand for something other than selling stuff. And you know, Steve, a big predictor of success in this space is culture. You may have a company, a client, that doesn't get it. Maybe it's not going to work. And then, you know, maybe you get your paycheck and do the best you can. Maybe you start out giving the customer what they want and then build that trust so eventually you can give the customer what they really need. Maybe they don't even know it. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, Neil Schaefer's on here. Oh, man, Neil, you are the best. It's so great to see you. Andrew Smith is asking, you mentioned recently about companies worried about marketing data security. Can you expand a little on that, more from IT leak, tarnishing the brand, eroding trust? Well, Andrew, I think the big thing, buddy, that I'm seeing is that businesses are panicked because they know an attack, it's not if, it's when. It's going to happen. I talked to a company recently, and they had been attacked. This is something that hasn't been made public. It's a Fortune 500 company. The CEO's email was downloaded to an attacker. They think it was someone from China. Vital designs and plans were downloaded by this hacker. And the security firm went in and said, with the way this company is organized and all the entry points all around the world, they said the only thing we can do for you is try to detect when they're in and react. That's scary. And so I think the real concern is that the complexity on the web is growing at a malignant rate. It doesn't grow in a linear fashion, it's a malignant fashion. And as the complexity grows, there's more vulnerabilities. There's more entry points for hackers. We are becoming more and more vulnerable every day, not less and less. And so, you know, and the marketers, they don't really want to talk about it. They don't want to make it an issue. They don't want to make it a concern. But that's really, it's probably the number one concern I saw coming out of the CMO conference that I just went to. Scott Monty is saying, what, hustle doesn't count? No, well, I mean, some hustle cuts it. I mean, it has, you know, to stand out today, you need to have a voice. You need to know your space on the web, where you fit in, but you also need to hustle. Marie Helene, great to see you. Good morning. Carrie, thank you for joining. Let's see. Yeah. Ian Anderson Gray, very sweet man. Thank you for joining Ian. Ian got to visit me here in Tennessee at my home, and that was a lovely experience. I got to meet his whole family. If you're not following Ian Anderson Gray, be sure to do it. And he's saying that he can't wait for my book, that this is it's a vital topic. I mean, think about this. What do you want to do in your life? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to start to speak? Do you want to be seen as an authority in your industry? Do you want to be invited to teach someday? Do you want to be invited to a committee in some industry organization? How does that happen? You have to be known. That's it. Phil Mershon, my friend from Social Media Examiner, called me a couple weeks ago and invited me back to Social Media Marketing World 2017. And we were talking about my former career. He said, Mark, I've known you for 5 years. I consider you my friend. I didn't know any of this stuff about you. And I said, well, let me ask you something, Phil. I said, the reason you're inviting me to your conference is because I'm known, right? He said, yeah. And if I went away for a while and I wasn't known, I wouldn't be invited. He said, that's probably true. So this idea of being known is absolutely vital. And I'm really excited to bring that to you in my new book. Joanne's asking me, is it going to be published or self-published? All my books from now on are going to be self-published. The publishing industry is horrendously broken. Don't even get me started. I'm actually in a... Well, let me just give you one example of the problems that we face. It's time... I self-published my first book, The Tao of Twitter. It's probably my most beloved book. It's probably my best-selling book all around the world. And this was self-published. It did very well. It became the best-selling book on Twitter, self-published. I sold the rights to a publisher. The publisher brought out the book. We did a second edition that was updated in 2014. Now the book is ready for another update, and the publisher said, no, we're not doing business books anymore. We're not doing any more updates. So this book is becoming obsolete month by month by month, and I have no options. I'm trying to work with the publisher to find some way I can get that property back. But there's lots and lots of reasons to self-publish. Honestly, once you get past the ego of not having a publishing contract, there is no downside to self-publishing. I've done it both ways, and I cannot see a path in the future where I would ever go back. So I'm self-publishing from here on in. Let's see. Eric is asking me, you do a lot of mentoring. What does that do for you? How much credit can you take for this success? Mentoring, I'm getting emotional for some reason. I'm just at a very blessed place in my life where I can send the elevator back down. I've had a lot of great bosses, a lot of great mentors in my life. I help a lot of people. I mentor a lot of people. I do some sort of mentoring every single day. Does it help me in my business? I don't know. I don't really track that. It's just important to me that I reach out to people. I just get a lot of reward from that. It's just who I am. It's where I want to be in my life right now. I'm a teacher. If there are ways that I could use my experience to help young people starting out, or either people in transition or pivoting, it's just something that's part of me. I don't really think about the business benefits of it. It's just me. It's part of what drives me. It's part of what keeps me going. It's a bigger reward to me to have someone say, "You've changed my life. You've changed my business." That's a bigger reward to me than money at this point in my life, and that's why I do it. Okay, Lisa is asking me, what is one concept viewers can implement that will be in your book that you might be able to share here? One of the most exciting things I'm working on is a series of different tests you can go through, little projects you can go through to help you define specifically your voice on the web. And one of the projects that I really like is combining your interest with some of your values. So, for example, let's say you want to create content around food. Well, there are a bajillion food bloggers. That is an actual number. I looked it up, and I've researched that, and the number is actually a bajillion. So how do you find a unique place for food? Combine it with a value like family. So if family is important to you, why not create content about creating recipes as a family? Things that everything can do. Little children can create. And then you create content around how this is a great way to spend time and create moments. I don't think there's anybody doing that. So you just can't go in and be a food blogger today. I mean, that's over. It's a saturated niche. So you've got to find some angle. So what I'm doing is creating exercises to help people combine their interest, a sustainable interest, with a value to find a way to stand out. I see my friend Samantha Collier is on. That's wonderful. Kim George. I got to meet Kim this week. Kim George is on here. She's an exceptional young lady. Has all the potential in the world. She just needs to harness it. She needs to focus and unleash it. Okay, let's see. What else is going on here? Let's see. Tamsin is on here. My gracious, Tamsin. How did you find time in your busy schedule to come on to this today? Let's see. All right. Heidi, who are my favorite thought leaders in the marketing space? There are a couple people who, this is hard because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm sure to miss somebody. But I think there is some content out there that is truly unmissable, truly thought-provoking. Some of the people I admire are Christopher Penn. Christopher Penn, we're so lucky to have him in this field because Christopher could be a physicist someplace. And he applies very analytical thinking to marketing. And let's face it, marketing is about math these days. It's about data. It's about critical thinking. So he pushes my thinking in a lot of new ways. Mitch Joel doesn't write as much as he used to. But he is someone that creates reliably good, thought-provoking content. I think Ginny Dietrich does a great job with her Spin Sucks content. I think she brings a very honest view to the world, a very unvarnished view to the world. Jay Baer is a very original thinker. It's kind of the way he's organized his content today. When I get hit the RSS feed, it's kind of hard to see what's him and what's other people. He's bringing in a lot of guest content that, frankly, I really don't care about. But when Jay writes, I listen because he is truly an original thinker and a thought leader. I like some of the stuff that Scott Monty is doing. Tom Webster does not write very much anymore, but if you listen to him on the Marketing Companion podcast that I do with him, he's an exceptional thinker. On the SEO side, Lee Odin, I think, is fantastic. Andy Crestadina is doing some amazing things. I know I'm forgetting a lot of people, but those are just a few. So I don't want to hurt anybody else's feelings. Let's see. John Ferrara, another person. John is an amazing, lovely man. And so he's saying your goals as a person or a business should be to help others become smarter, faster at scale. You're the man, okay? Let's see. Oh, look, Scott Monty mentions Jay Acunzo. Jay, super smart young guy. I mean, I love the stuff that Jay is putting out. He's trying some new stuff, teaching lessons on Snapchat. I mean, look, I don't really think it's the best way to teach lessons in 10-second chunks, but if anybody can do it, Jay can do it. Jay is amazing. I'm trying to keep up with some questions here. Let's see. Let me see. How do you work around an unresponsive C-suite? You can't. You can't work around an unresponsive C-suite. Let's face it. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, the biggest predictor of success in this space is culture. The company culture is owned by the C-suite. There's no such thing as a grassroots cultural change. The people who own the company culture, who impact the company culture, are at the top. They're the ones that own the budget and the strategy. So maybe your social strategy, your marketing strategy doesn't start with a Facebook page or a blog. Maybe it starts with executive education. You can't work around an unresponsive C-suite. They must support what you're doing. They must understand what you're doing. That doesn't mean they have to blog or tweet, but you gotta bring them on board. And believe me, I'm speaking from experience here. I've worked with companies that had it both ways, where you had a C-suite that got it and a C-suite that didn't. And every single time, if they don't get it, your marketing plan is not going to work. Okay, Jorge is saying, I see a lot of people that come to the blogging scene not because they're passionate about writing and teaching, because they want to change their jobs or earn money. Well, here's the deal. If you don't love what you're doing, if you're not having fun with what you're doing, people are going to see that. Nobody's going to follow somebody who isn't having fun with what they're doing. People can sniff out a fake in 140 characters. So don't worry about it. If people are just trying to do a blog because they're just trying to make money, it's not going to work. I wouldn't even consider them competition. Let's see. Why do Mark's Facebook Lives feel like a family reunion? Great community here. That's wonderful. I love that. And look, I got to tell you something. I appreciate every person. I never take 1 minute of a person's time for granted. And where other people have blogs, they get all this slime on their blog, on their comments. You look at the comments on mine, it's amazing what people say and do in my blog community. So if this Facebook Live is an extension of that, that is truly amazing. Let's see. What is your number one tip for outreaching a piece of content? Jesse, I'm not sure I really understand that question. Outreaching a piece of content. It could mean, why don't you rephrase that? I'll get back to that because I'm not really understanding your topic there. Amanda Brown is going to be at Social Media Marketing World 2017. Can't wait to see you there. Was listening to your podcast today about quality versus quantity debate. How soon do you think the bots will start ruling content creation? 2017. They're here. 2017 is going to be really a watershed year for content marketing. When you can get 1,000 blog posts for $250, that's going to change our world. And it's happening right now. So they're here. Justin Jones, wonderful agency owner up in Sevierville, Tennessee. Thoughts on Snapchat allowing email uploads similar to Facebook custom audiences? Have you seen any really good use cases for this or thoughts? Justin, I'm just going to be honest with you. I haven't really studied that particular tactic. I'm trying to stay on top of Snapchat. I'm seeing some extraordinary case studies. One of the most interesting ones I saw this week is that Tiffany's is now spending an enormous amount of effort creating content for Snapchat. I think that's kind of unexpected. Arguably, Tiffany's is one of the top luxury brands in the world. I don't generally think of Snapchat as being a space for the luxury market, but they are smart marketers. So I can't speak specifically about the custom audience idea, but so let's see. Hi, Mark. John Asperian is asking me if I'm going to be in Edinburgh at the Content Marketing Academy 2017. I think so. It hasn't been pinned down. I saw that Chris Marr has announced that Marcus Sheridan is coming back. But past that, I think I'm going to be part of the lineup, but it hasn't been pinned down yet. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's see. People are saying lots of nice things about me. So I appreciate that very much. But I'm looking for some questions here. Because this is going to be a very boring video if all I do is scroll through nice comments. Let's see. All right, everybody. Okay, here we go. I love the content code. I haven't read the top of Twitter. Please recommend 3 books for marketers. Gosh, that's a hard one. Let's see. Probably my all-time favorite business book is called Innovation and Entrepreneurship by Peter Drucker. Let's see. Yep, here it is. This book has never left my desk. I believe it was written in 1983 or 1984. It predicts the entrepreneurial economy. It gives a framework for applying innovation in our world. Another book is, what's the one by Martin Lidstrom, the new one? I think it's called Small Data. Exceptional book. So that's 2. Let me think of number 3. Kind of looking at my bookshelf here. Again, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I like Dory Clark's book Standing Out, or Stand Out, I think it's called, very, very much. Again, my mind's kind of a blank. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but those are 3 that I like. Let's see. So it's interesting. Someone's mentioned, Annie Alexander has mentioned Seth Godin as a thought leader. I'm hot and cold on Seth Godin. Seth Godin is a brilliant man. He is one of the greatest thought leaders out there, but I also get the impression that sometimes Seth is out of touch. I think he comes out of his New York City flat and looks at New York City and says, why can't everybody be me? Why can't everybody just be in New York City? I think Seth needs to go to Walmart. Seth needs to go to the real world because Seth these days isn't writing about the real world sometimes. Suresh, man, I love Suresh. He is such a cool guy. Suresh Babu, visit him in India if you ever get the chance. He's a fun guy. Follow him, and he has such a great name. It's just fun to say. Everyone together, let's say it. Suresh Babu. I'm going to create a restaurant called Suresh Babu. I'm going to steal your name. Suresh is asking, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting in content? That's a big one. I think the number one piece of advice is You've got to define what is the content density in your space, right? So I would say by now, 99.9% of anybody who's working in marketing realizes that content shock is a real thing. And in fact, your strategy as a marketer is to create content shock for your competition. That's a dirty little secret we don't like to recognize. But what you're trying to do is find an unsaturated niche and dominate that niche with so much great content that all the Google juice flows to you. That's it. That's content marketing right there in one sentence. So to deny that that's a strategy and that's really happening is crazy. So you've got to see what is the information density in my niche. If I gave the advice to somebody yesterday. I was mentoring, coaching someone yesterday, and they said, my mission statement is to create content for small businesses and social media marketing. Forget it. It's over. It's over. Filled. You're never going to stand out with something like that. So you've got to find a niche that you can fill. You just Google your ideas. If the information density is over 1 million results on Google, it's done. You got to find something else. If it's between 500,000 results and 1 million, you can do it. If it's under 500,000 results, that is a golden opportunity. So I think the first step in developing a new content niche is you got to see what is the niche, what is the content density, how much content shock exists in that area, right? So that would be number 1. Okay, let me think. What do you think is starting out as a solo blogger on Huffington Post? I think that's a fantastic strategy. If you can get an audience, one person I mentioned earlier, Dory Clark. She didn't even have a home base when she started out creating content. She created content for Huffington Post, Forbes, and the Harvard Business Review. Now, I would add that that's a good start. And I think Dory would agree with me that she probably made a mistake by relying on that strategy too much. She didn't have a home base. So as she was creating her brand in these other places, she didn't have any place to drive them to. So I would say, maybe do both. You've got to have an archive for your own content. I would create your own home base as well. Let's see. I'm getting some nice comments from Chris. Oh man, Jason Falls popped in. He's asking me where's my Bucko's hat? Hey dude, I don't know if you can see. He's asking me for my Willie Stargell bobblehead. I don't know if you can see this or not. Let's see if I can do this. There's Willie Stargell on my wall, right there. I'm a big Pirates fan like Jason is. Let's see. Amy likes my burnt orange shirt. Hook 'em horns. Go Tennessee. That's what this is about right here, baby. I'm getting a few questions about explaining the 1,000 blog posts for $250. Yes. This is bulk content. It is produced by artificial intelligence. And it's being offered right now. Look. You just got to look around. There are algorithms creating poetry. There are algorithms creating rap lyrics. There are algorithms creating newspaper news articles. So let's wake up. They're going to be creating blog posts. And I'm not saying that they're going to replace you as a human, that they're going to replace the emotional connection that only you can create with your audience. But in terms of overwhelming people with just stuff, with contributing to overwhelming information density, I mean, we got to open our eyes. And it's going to, we're going to be putting a lot of people out of jobs. I saw a statistic that 75% of newspaper news stories are going to be created by bots by 2020. 75%. So, I mean, that's just the world. And I'm sorry that, that's an unpopular opinion, but we have to run our businesses on what is, not what we wish for. So let me see. I'm doing a time check here. We've got about another 10 minutes, let's say. I don't want to make this too long. And just let me say how much I appreciate every one of you. Again, I never, ever take... This is such a gift that you're spending time with me today. So, Michael Stelzner says, Seth goes to Walmart the movie. Oh, man, that is beautiful. Oh, man, Brad Lovett is making... That could become a meme. Seth goes to Walmart. Okay, you heard it here first. I don't see it happening. Okay, so let's see. Meg Tripp. I cannot believe you guys are spending time with me on Facebook today. And Meg, by the way, is one of the best original thinkers on the web. And she's asking me the stupidest question. She said, who is your dream guest blogger? And Meg, it's you. And I have asked you so many times. Meg Tripp is a beautiful writer. She's an original thinker. Please follow her if you're not following her already. And Meg, please write for my blog. I bet I've asked you 3 times. You, Meg, would be my dream guest blogger, and I'm not making that up. So, let's see what else is going on here. Okay. Peter's asking me, please comment. It's one thing to generate content, but without context that is conscious, values that are embodied by the leadership, it's just spin. Well, look, I'm a very practical person, and I know a friend who has this business where he basically creates almost robotic content just to get SEO value, just to get views. If your model is advertising. So let's say, which is better? Should you create 10 blog posts that get 1,000 views, or 1,000,000 blog posts that get 1,000,000 views? 1 view each, because it's such crap. Again, I'm not going to judge somebody that is following that model. There is a model there. It's not my model. It's not the way I want the world to go, but here is a fact. Those are Google's rules. If I'm not big enough to ignore Google. Google is shoving us into a box. Chad Pollitt wrote a beautiful blog post this week on his Relevant site. And by the way, Chad is another great thought leader. I forgot to mention Chad. I forgot to mention a lot of people, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I hate answering questions. Maybe I won't answer questions like that in the future because I don't want to leave anybody out. But Chad wrote a blog post that said, Google is killing content marketing. In many respects, this is true because they allow the quantity crap to win. They allow the quantity strategy to win. They're creating the crap strategy. Google's doing it. And until that changes, there is a business case for quantity. I know you don't want to hear that from me, and I hate saying it, but there is a business case for quantity. Not all the time, not every business model, not every person, but there is a place for that. And I'm a business person, and I just want to say what's true, and that is true. All right, I think I've got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions at the most. Um, let's see. Doug is asking, what's more important, marketing to influence rational behavior or emotional behavior? Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That is such a cool question, Doug. It depends on the product. I think in B2B, it's probably you want to influence rational behavior, especially if the buying cycle is a long one. In B2C, a lot of the behavior is emotional. I think for me, someone that's I think in personal services, it's emotional. I don't think many people are going to hire me because they go to my website and they see the products that I offer. I don't think many people are going to hire a real estate agent because they're a bestseller. I don't think a lot of people are going to hire an insurance agent because they won some award. I think you're going to hire people in personal services because you trust them, because you know them, because you like them, maybe even because you love them. I think that's why people are going to hire me as a consultant or a speaker or buy my books, because they've created some kind of connection with me. And so I think that answer is dependent on your market and your product, but it's a fantastic question. Thanks for asking that. Okay. So let me answer one last question. Jeffrey Slater is asking me if I've read Robert Cialdini's new book, Persuasion. I have it. It's on my bookshelf right here, but I haven't read it yet. Okay. Dana's saying, I'm feeling a little discouraged after hearing about small business marketing niche is saturated. I want to be clear, Dana. Here, and this is the last question I'll answer today, and this is a great one. You shouldn't be discouraged. What I'm saying is, if you want to create content about social media marketing of small businesses, that is a very, very saturated niche. It's going to be almost impossible for you to break in unless you have a new angle or unless you have a geographic territory. If your idea is to create social media marketing content for small businesses in Lithuania, that might be wide open. If you want to create small content for small businesses in Paducah, Kentucky, that might be wide open. So you've got to consider how saturated is the niche. And it's just, look, it's like, do you want to try to battle Goliath every day? Let's look at, so if you want to create content that competes with HubSpot, forget it. It's over. But you can find your own voice. You can find your own way to connect. And let me add one last thing. Maybe your niche isn't a topic. Maybe your niche isn't a geography. Maybe your niche is you. Maybe that's how you stand out, because there's nobody like you. And you have an original voice, an original view, where people are attracted to you and your content because it's you. And that's basically my strategy. I have a unique background. I've got 2 master's degrees. I've got a master's degree in applied behavioral sciences. So how many marketing bloggers have a master's degree in psychology? And I'm weird and I'm crazy. And I like the Steelers and the Pirates, and I like to have fun with my blog. So sometimes your niche is you. So what I'm going to do is, if I haven't had time to answer your comment on this video today, I will answer it on the Facebook stream. Thank you very, very much. I'm speechless as to the many, many wonderful people who joined me today. Thank you. I'll probably do another one of these in another 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I don't want to saturate my niche with too much of me. I don't want to be overexposed. But I do appreciate the time that you spent with me. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.